Hello, hello, and welcome to Soul Cooking with Tea. Hey, y'all come on in. Come on in. We about to have some kitchen talk. You ain't got to do it, but just turn it down some. And so if you hear the TV in the background, listen, that's what happens in kitchens all over this country, all over this world. When you're trying to do a live, listen, the family is doing their thing. And it's all right. It's all right. That's why I said just turn the TV down a little bit so y'all can't hear all that noise in the background. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know you see me looking off, but I'm looking off because I want to make sure that we are live on Soul Cooking with Tea. So let me, oh yeah, we live. We are live. Let me, so I don't know about you all, but I'm learning now how to grab the link. I didn't know. Nobody told me. Nobody didn't give me a tutorial on how to grab the link so that you can share it. So listen, I'm learning. So I'm trying to get over to my personal page so that I can share this with my family and friends, the ones that maybe or maybe not are part of the Soul Cooking with Tea family, so that they'll know we are live. So I got it posted. And so as I was saying, because I'm learning, grab the link, post it to where you need to be or want it to be, and it's a go. So again, welcome to Soul Cooking with Tea. I am Tawana Carlton. I am the host and CEO of Soul Cooking with Tea. Y'all come on in. We're about to have some kitchen talk. Listen, you asked, and I made sure that we have some kitchen talk. Listen, we're not gonna be in here long because let me tell you all. I forgot to bring the fan in the kitchen, and these studio lights. Don't let nobody fool you. These studio lights are hot, very hot. Hello, hello. Thank you, Gina, for joining us. Hello, Sharice. I hope I said your name correctly. Hello, and blessings to you both. Hello, hello. Thank you all for coming in and joining us for Soul Cooking with Tea. This is Kitchen Talk. Guys, listen, I'm gonna have to have a fan. So y'all gotta excuse me for a second. Baby, can you bring that fan? Just turn it around in the kitchen for me. Listen, these lights are hot. Do y'all hear what I said? I mean, they are HOT. Yeah, thank you, Sharice. Thank you. Listen, I'm from the South, and I didn't want to tear your name up. I didn't want to tear your name up at all. So that's why I wanted to say apologies first. So good, I got it. Just turn it on number 3 for me. So if y'all can hear that fan, forgive me. But it's hot in here under these lights, and I don't want to start sweating. So come on in, come on in. We're about to have some kitchen talk. Here in Soul Cooking with Tea, we're talking about old school remedies. Old school. Do y'all hear me? Old school. Yes, I'm up in age, but I do remember some of the remedies that my grandmother and the women on my street, the neighborhood, the things that they would do when we were sick or we wasn't feeling good. So come on in, come on in. Hello, hello. Gina says it's cold. So Gina, you must be on the East Coast. Girl, you know what you're missing here on the West. Today it was 70 something degrees. I was trying to see what the temperature is. I can look right now, y'all, and see. Let me see what the temperature is here in, as they say, Diego. So let me tell you, the temperature right now is 58 degrees. Our low will be 53. Our high today was 62. So listen, it is nice weather, but in this kitchen, with these lights on, it is hot. It is hot, y'all. So come on in, tell your friends, tell your friends. Soul Cooking with Tea is live. Listen, we have a special guest. They are already backstage. We had our pre-talk. We won't be here long, but listen, I've had on our last kitchen talk, the question was, I was talking about different things that my grandparents and used, when you were sick, and remedies that people would tell, your parents or they knew about. And so the request was, can we talk about some of these old school remedies? So tonight, that's what we're talking about, old school remedies. And I have a dear friend, my sister. Listen, she had to remind me one day. I think I don't remember what it was. And I was like, yeah, girl, we've been friends for her. She was like, oh no, 50 plus years. So me and my special guest, listen, we started preschool together. She lived on the main street. I lived on the side street. That's what I say. Everybody knew where Academy Street was. I lived on Chapman Street, which was, again, the side street, because Academy Street is the main street in our community. And so we grew up together, got in trouble together. We went to whole school, all through school together. We graduated together. And it is wonderful to be able to still have a friendship and to have a sister that I know I can call any day, anytime. But just being able to get on the phone, listen, and we kiki together. We have cried together. It's just amazing that when we get on the phone sometimes, and we can talk at least 3-4 hours. And even if we don't talk for a couple of months, when we get back to talking, we never talk about what we talked about the last time for those 3 or 4 hours. And so it is just amazing to be able to have that friendship and to be able to have that bond. Here we are, up in an age, and she was just saying when she was backstage about getting old. I was like, girl, we're not getting old. No, we're not getting old. Not at all. So without further ado, I would like to bring on our guest. Let me unmute her. This is my girl. Listen, her name is Zanetta. Okay. Don't, if you hear me say Tanker, you're gonna be like, well, who is she talking to? So that's my special guest, because that was her nickname. That's her name that we grew up with. We all knew her name was Zanetta. You may hear her call me something else besides Tawana. So listen, don't be surprised when you be like, well, who's she talking to? She talking to me, I'm talking to her, because that was our nicknames. And so growing up in our community, listen, we've had an amazing time. So listen, welcome Zanetta L. Thomas to Soul.
Thank you.
Y'all give some welcome up in here. Listen, for those that, because we're doing this from StreamYard, but I have my tablet here so I can see you all on Facebook. So make sure y'all give us some love, some hearts, some wow, some caring, some smiley faces. Come on, jump in, tell everybody that we are here live. Zanetta, if you would just tell Soul Cooking with Tea. So this is Zanetta's first time here in Soul Cooking with Tea live. Now she's been on many of our lives, as just coming in, commenting, talking. But this is her first time being a guest on Soul Cooking with Tea. So y'all, let me get over here so I can give her some hearts, so I can say welcome to Soul Cooking with Tea. So Zanetta, if you would tell Soul Cooking with Tea a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I think Tawana has just about summed it up, but I am Zanetta, and I use my middle initial, so Zanetta L. Thomas. And as she said, my nickname is Tanka. So I know that when I'm in Troy, which is home for us, if I hear someone call me Tanka, I'm at home. If I'm not at home and someone calls me Tanka, they are probably from Troy. Mm-hmm. So I currently live about 30 miles south of Birmingham, Alabama. And I usually will say that because it's a small city and a lot of people don't know where Calera, Alabama is. So I'm not that far from Birmingham. Yeah. And she's already advised that we grew up together from, back then, we didn't have they called it, I think, preschool.
Yep. Preschool.
We started out like really young. Yes. Together. Yes. So we've been friends for many, many, many years. As she said, 50 plus years. So I appreciate the invitation to come on.
And we're glad to have you on. Listen, we're going to have just good old, listen, y'all, we country. So don't be trying to correct that. Now, Tanker will try to correct me. I'm going to tell y'all that. Be like, no, girl, that wasn't that. And she going to say, no. But I'm still country. And I know how to talk proper English. But she will correct me. But we're going to have some old school, by old school remedies, like Zanetta said, by growing up in the same neighborhood. So we've experienced some of the same things. So one thing, Zanetta, do you know what our parents, or can you share with everybody? Maybe your mother or grandmother didn't do this one, but mine did. If you had a nosebleed.
If you had a nosebleed. Look, please don't tell me, nah, I don't know about it. What are you thinking?
Listen, Mama and them would take a pair of keys tied on a string and drop it down the center of my back.
Okay, I've heard that one.
Yes, and so it would stop my nose because I had bad nosebleeds, probably about middle school, and more going in more into junior high school. I had bad nosebleeds. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, and it was just horrible. And she would get me up and make sure she had them keys. I don't know what it is about them keys and being tied to that string and hanging down the back of your back, but that's what mama them did. So what did your mother did? They do anything if you had a nosebleed?
I don't ever really recall suffering from nosebleeds as a child. However, not just for a nosebleed, I can recall for that as well as cuts and things like that. I remember someone saying, hey, and I know for some people, you go a spider web, a cobweb, you grab the cobweb and you put it over a cut
Yep.
and it stops the bleeding.
Yep.
And, I guess when I was young, I thought that was the craziest thing, but I did suffer from a nosebleed a time or two as an adult. And my ENT actually gave me something that you can just buy.
Wow.
And you can go purchase it. And when you take it out of the package, it resembles like a spider web, a cobweb,
Wow.
very similar to that.
To that. Well,
Yeah.
By you saying that was one of the things was on my list because I've never heard that. And my family was saying, just like you said, for an open wound. Listen, y'all know I have my notes. Look, I got notes.
I have mine too, so you'll see me look down every now and then.
Yes, because I ain't trying to forget nothing. So, what about you saying the spider web? That was one of the things that they said that their parents did too. And then they also said that was to keep it, like I said, keep it from bleeding. And then the other thing that I heard was that they put a Kennedy 50 cent and tied it to it. And that was, you won't believe what they said they used that for.
Yes, I've heard that one.
So that was because if you couldn't afford to take your kids to get a tetanus shot, then you put that Kennedy 50 cent. That would draw out the infection. And then they said when they took it off, the Kennedy 50 cent, it was pure green.
So if you have someone that's listening to you this afternoon, this evening, and they don't know what a Kennedy 50 cent is, you want to explain that one?
It's a Kennedy 50 cent. Listen, y'all see me about to holler in.
President Kennedy is on it.
Yeah, President Kennedy's on it. It's a Kennedy 50 cent. It is worth 50 cent. I should have brought one. But I was like, so you didn't go to the doctor? And they was like, no, we put the spider web in. And I'm saying, well, I don't know, because I never experienced that. But to hear you say, that you knew about it, see, I'm learning something about my girlfriend that I didn't even know. And then to take it off and it's pure green. I'm like, okay, it's green. So do you throw that away or do you put it in a solution and wash it out? What we gonna do with it? Because hey, I might need them 50 cent. Yeah, I might need it. So if you all are just joining us, hello, welcome. I see Mary, our other classmate, is here. She says, hello, my sister. That's my sister Maria saying that. Mary says, a butter knife down back. Oh, okay. So when you had a nosebleed, your mom would use a butter knife. Well, see.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I did not have.
I didn't either.
So if you all that are just joining us, welcome. Listen. Let me go ahead and put this disclaimer out here. We're not here to tell you to try any of these remedies. We're just having a discussion about old school remedies. So don't, I went and tried that. No. That's not what we're saying. We are just talking about the things that we experienced in our life growing up. Again, my guests and I are both from down south. And these are just things that we experienced as children growing up in our parents' and grandparents' home. And so by no means are we encouraging you all to try any and none of these things that we talk about tonight. We're just talking about the experiences we had growing up. Cherie says, oh, wow, we were just told to pinch our nose and hold our head back, but that causes you to swallow the blood. When I got older, I learned that you pinch your nose lean your head forward and pinch your nose until it stops bleeding. Sharice says understood when I was saying.
She's absolutely right. I had that one on my list as well.
Listen, I remember that because even putting the key, I still, because I had trouble with the clocks. Like they would just be dropping and dropping and dropping. And so putting that key, it really slowed it down. The clock stopped. But then, like you said, if you held your head back, because that's the first thing they want to do is pinch your nose, then it all comes down, and drains in your mouth. And then what you gonna do? You gotta spit, you gotta throw up, you gotta do something because you gotta get that out your mouth. Yes. That is for sure. Y'all welcome. Welcome. Mary says my grandmother used to do it. Yes. Like you just gotta we learned a lot of things. Okay, Tanka. So what is one thing or something your parents use when you got a cold?
When I got a cold?
Yes.
Something that I will always remember is castor oil and lemon juice. Okay. Castor oil and lemon juice.
Okay.
And that's not the only thing because it was a combination. And it sounds gross, and it was gross, but it was old school as we are talking about. Yes. And it was where my grandmother would take what we call a tablespoon. That's the big kitchen spoon, and she would pour the castor oil in that spoon, turn the burner on top, and she would hold it close enough to warm that spoon so that oil would thin out. And then she would take like a fresh cut lemon and squeeze the lemon juice in the middle of it and make you swallow it. And I'm sure it probably went down a little bit better warm than thick, but along with that, if that cold was bad enough, then there was something that was called a tallow rag. And you mentioned this the other day. So that tallow is really just like, it's basically beef fat. It's been rendered down and drained, and then it sets. So they would take that and mix things like that fantastic Vicks vapor rub.
Girl, open everything up in you.
Okay.
Everything.
Of course, this works for a whole lot of other things, but we had the Vicks vapor rub. Not only that, she also, I keep a few of these little things at the house. Look, okay. Do you ever remember seeing the mentholatum?
Yep. Y'all see my
okay. Kids, so she would use the mentholatum, the Vicks vapor rub, and probably, whatever else that she may have had that went, that was in that category, she would put it on this tallow rag. Now, so that everybody knows what I'm talking about, and I don't know how everybody else's parents or grandparents may have done it, but my grandmother would take like an old sheet and she would cut out that sheet to fit your chest, to fit across your chest. She would double it because the sheet is thin. Right. She would fold it in half, and then she would cut strips from that sheet so that she could sew on each corner. She would sew on those strips. That meant the top two would tie around your neck and the other two would tie around your back, so that when she put all of these things on there, the tallow, the Vicks vapor rub, the mentholatum, and all of that on there, she would also, we got to go back to the stove, because she had to hold it over that burner on the stove so that it would melt together and it would get warm. And then she would just like press it against your chest, and you would put that shirt on and get under the cover and get a good sweat. And probably by the next morning, it's that mucus, that phlegm is all, it's breaking up, you're coughing it up. But it worked.
Yes.
It worked.
Yes.
So not only did you have that on your chest, you had already taken the castor oil and the lemon juice. So you had something on your chest, but you also had something that you had to down.
Yeah, that's it. For me, my grandmother took a handkerchief, and so she would put the tallow on my throat, put it across your forehead, across your temple, then also on the bottom of your feet. And then and you'd have to put on a pair of socks, and she would tie that handkerchief around, and by morning, either that cough done stopped or you feel much better than you did, because that tallow, listen, that stuff was everything.
Because you would use the tallow and just mix other things with it.
Right. And it worked. Worked. So I would like to take this time, welcome you all. Welcome. Listen, we love the comments. As you can see, I'm learning about StreamYard. I can look at your comments. I can post them up on the screen. So y'all keep commenting. Come on in. Keep coming in. If you would, take this time and share out this broadcast of Soul Cooking with T. I am Tawana Carlton. I am your host and CEO of Soul Cooking with T. And we are in here tonight having kitchen talk with my dear friend, dear sister, Zanetta L. Thomas. And listen, we are just talking about old school remedies. And again, for those that are just coming in or those that will catch the replay, a disclaimer: we're not telling you to go out and try any of these things that we talked about, any of these treatments. This is what we grew up using, coming up with our parents and our grandparents, and we just wanted to come on because it had been a request to talk about old school remedies, and so that's why we are in here tonight. And again, just putting up that disclaimer: we are not telling you, hey, go out and use this, try this. As we are talking about it. Hello, Megan. Welcome. Hello, that's my other sister. Hello. Look who up in here, Tank. Look who up in here.
Is that Angela?
Hello.
Hi, Angela.
It's a hometown coming on up in here.
That's
Mary.
right, hometown. Hello, Lomax.
We got hometown. We got Mary. That's home. That's in the neighborhood. Angela. Listen.
Hey, Mary.
We are up in here tonight. Again, we're talking kitchen talk, old school remedies. What about chicken pox? What did you do?
You know, I don't remember exactly, but I do know that for everything that, they have vaccines for all this stuff now. Right. When we were growing up, there was, we had the chicken pox, we had the mumps, we had the measles, and there was something that you were supposed to rub on everything. Everything. Listen, what do you remember them putting on for chicken pox?
Oh, Sharice, yes. Sharice says, yes, I was one of the one who requested home remedies. Thank you so much. You are so welcome. I thank you so much for
Hi, Sharice.
For requesting home remedies. Listen, you all, that's what it's about. Listen, you put your request in, put ideas in. I'm open as the host of Soul Cooking with T, because I don't know it all. You are my audience. Y'all can tell me some of the things you would enjoy cooking, or me, and for me to be cooking in the kitchen. Put it in the feed. Sharice says she's one of the ones. Listen, she put it in there, and here we are tonight. I think it's about 2 weeks ago we did our last kitchen talk, and here we are talking about old school remedies. And so again, yes. So Mary says, hello, Zanetta.
Hi, Mary.
And Weta says, that's
hi, Weta.
She said, you look so beautiful, ladies.
Thank you.
Angela says, yes, love old school. Listen, girl, it is nothing like having an old school memories. Yes, Sharice. Yes. So we are glad to have each and every one of you all come in tonight. Our special guest is Miss Zanetta L. Thomas. Okay, she says, okay, let's go back. I'm seeing a question. So Sharice's question is, what about for earaches? What did Lou Miss Frankie do something for? So when I say Miss Lou, that's Zanetta's mother. Miss Frankie is her grandmother. And so my grandmother was Weta. And so I'm just, so if you hear us saying names, we'll explain. So that's why I want to give you go ahead and explain who we are talking about. So what you do for earaches?
So the one thing that I remember specifically for an earache was sweet oil.
Yep, that's it.
And, everything came in these little bottles, these little brown bottles and plastic, and you get the sweet oil. And once again, it had to be warmed a little bit over the stove. And then you had to put a few drops in that ear and put a little piece of cotton behind it and kind of hold that head to the side for a little while.
And then when it would put that cotton in.
Yes. it will get rid of the earache.
Yep.
And a lot of the things that we're talking about, they still sell. Again, I agree with Tawana. We're not telling you to go out and buy these things and use them. We're not, medical personnel at all. But I've noticed that a lot of things that we still use, we use then, a lot of things they still make, or they don't use them as they did then, but that some of the ingredients are in other medications or in other ways of treatment.
Yes. So Mary says for ginger ale will bring.
Yes, now that
See,
Mary said that, I remember.
I never heard that.
I
So
did.
Angela says, remember that heart. Oh, girl.
Angela, Tawana, Angela, you could not go to Miss Weeder's house. That was Tawana's grandmother. For those of you who don't know, her sister Weeder is on here, who's named after their grandmother. But you could not go to Miss Weeder's house and not see a bottle on the counter in the kitchen. It was always there.
But you know what I liked to drink when I was sick? Father John's. It was brown, but it was sweet. That Father John's cough syrup, girl, I love that. That I did love. Girl, yeah, we had that black draw. Yes. Miss Fitzpatrick, because I don't want to mess up your first name. She said, I remember my grandmother rubbed oatmeal on me for chicken pox. Yep.
Yeah, Kalina, I've heard that as well. It wasn't something that I recall being used in my house, because when Tawana says, when she mentions my grandmother and my mom was Louise and my grandmother was Frankie, and we were in the house together. So I don't remember the oatmeal, but I've heard it. Mm-hmm. And when Mary said the ginger ale was supposed to bring it out after she put that in, I do remember the ginger ale being something that they would give us, and said that it was supposed to bring the chicken pox out.
Now, Mary, you and Zanetta and Angela, and maybe the rest of y'all haven't said the main thing that we use, that our parents used when we had chicken pox. Now, I know y'all ain't forgot. I know, Zanetta, you don't forgot.
What was it, Tawana?
Girl, that pink calamine lotion that we had.
Well, yes. And you know what? I have the calamine lotion down, but I had it, I had forgotten about it for that. I have it down for poison ivy.
Girl, and they would you knew you had chickenpox because they had it all dotted. You had pink dots.
Now that you said it, it's like your whole body was pink.
Girl, yes, it was pink. We was pink down, and everybody knew what was going on. Like, okay, yeah, you got chickenpox. Something going on.
This was before the days of the clear calamine.
Yes, girl. I still remember that pink calamine. Like, oh, Carl, we got to have, okay, and your face just everywhere. What about the mumps? Did you have the mumps? Because I did.
I think we all had the mumps that, coming up around our age, because you and I was born in January, you were born in April. So, you are actually like a year older than me. Well, not quite, about 9 months, something like that. But so I think we had the mumps, we had the measles. That was before they came up with vaccines and, started, giving those to the children and stuff, or, when they were born at whatever that age is. So, yeah, I think we all had them.
So the question should have been, how did your parents, if your parents didn't take you to the doctor, how did they diagnose it?
Now, with the mumps was the one that I hated all of them, because it was no fun having those things happen to you. But because they put that sardine oil on your face, on your jaws, and just rubbed it in, and you smelled like sardines. Yes. And then they would take some type of scarf or torn, cloth or something, and they would tie it around, put the bigger part under your chin and bring it around to the top of your head, and then tie it. And you can't go anywhere, because it was something that I guess was contagious, maybe. So you could just sit at home with this rag. And I remember sitting on the front porch because I got tired of being in the house, and I'm sitting out there with this sardine grease on my face with this rag tied around my face.
Yes. So how Mama diagnosed it was she gave me pickle juice. And so if I that was how they diagnosed. That's how I was diagnosed as having the mumps, because she gave me pickle juice. And when I started to drink it, it was like I guess all of that. Girl, just amazes me how they would diagnose stuff for us. It's just
okay.
Yes, pickle juice. So in the comments right here, because this is on my list too. Let me see if I can get the computer to get over to the comments. So Sharice asks, Work with your ingredients for a hot toddy. So, Zanetta, you have some? Because I have some too.
I think that, and again, I must stress because, my background is in substance use and mental health. So
Right.
I do not suggest any of these today, but you had to get a little whiskey, a little something, and put it on the stove. And again, it seems to go back to that stove because you had to warm it up a little bit. And, you had, in certain instances, they would add, things to it to
Right.
try to get you. See, there it is right there, that
Yeah.
lemon honey and that whiskey.
Yeah.
So that's exactly where I was going with that. You just had to sip on that.
Gina says that was my favorite when I was sick. So going back to this one, Gina says lemon, honey, and whiskey. So one thing that I still do, and again, like Zanetta's saying, we're not encouraging you. We're just sharing the things that we have used as children. And maybe she and I know I can speak for myself. It's some things that I still do. And this is one of them. When your family member is sick, now, if you don't use the whiskey or the vodka, just make sure you got the lemon, the honey, and then we would also add peppermint to it. So now, if the cold was like a real bad and you was just coughing, as we said, barking, they wouldn't even add a tea to it, a tea bag. They would just mix that lemon, honey, and that whiskey just a little bit, so that you can mix it with that honey. And again, we don't measure, so I can't. I see. Here, Sharice asks, "How much of each?" Girl, you listen. Being from the South, we can't tell
We
you.
don't have any idea.
No idea, because we
And
didn't
I
do
think the
it.
objective behind the whiskey, as I got older and thought, you think about stuff like that. I think the objective behind the whiskey is that it was going to make you sweat. It was going to make you sweat under, you drink it before going to bed.
Uh-huh.
And then you would sweat it out,
Yes.
over some of that out overnight.
So here Mary says moonshine, lemon, and honey. So Mary, that is what Miss Lollipop, that's what we call Mary's mother, Miss Lollipop. And I guess I'm assuming that is what Miss Lollipop gave you when you all were sick. So Angela says lemon, honey. She said, I like it. Gina says, my dad used about a third of each. Girl, what was daddy doing? What was daddy doing? Daddy was taking a lot of that. Now here we go. Angela says, let's not leave the babies out. That saved the baby ointment they rubbed on the baby's gums when they were teething. Okay.
That's on my list, Angela, for teething.
Okay, so see, that's another remedy that was used. I don't remember that one. Let's see. Let me go back now. We got a lot of comments.
Well, because Tawana, that one, the one that Angela just mentioned, is because it, alcohol, that whiskey would numb the gums.
Okay.
And that was the idea, was that you just put it on your finger, put a little bit on your finger and rub the baby's gum. So if they were teething and crying, then it would soothe the gum, because for a period of time, a little while, it would just kind of numb that gum or the gum area out.
Right. Okay. So Cherie says, okay. Gina says the whiskey made you sweat and sleep so well, girl. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. That's what Zanetta just said. Make you sleep. Angela says lemon and honey with Theraflu, so we will be politically correct. Thank you, Angela. Thank you.
Exactly.
That's why we try to tell
That's today's remedy for what used to be whiskey.
Yes,
okay.
So we're not trying to tell y'all to go out and still. These are just some things that we've done. Like I said, when we get sick, we still will get that, and mix that, as we say, hot toddy. And that's the first thing. I've had so many to call me and say, and it's family. Let me just say that. It's family. And they was like, okay, tell me again, now how I'm supposed to make this hot toddy? So I tell them two different ways, one without the whiskey and one with the whiskey. And again, like Zanetta's saying, not encouraging, no one to try none of these, none of this, what we're talking about. We'll just share with you all. Thank you. What we have done. Listen, every time I get on a live, my nose starts to run. And it ain't cold up in here, and I don't know what be going on, but this ain't gonna work for me, y'all. Okay, these allergies and everything. So y'all forgive me if y'all see me wiping my nose. Okay. So here's another question. Zanetta, she says, what was used for toothaches for adults. Girl, what was that stuff? It was yellow. It was in a bottle. Ambisol. They used Ambisol.
They sure did. What was
what
acidity used for?
What was that old school one we had? And I can't remember. I can see it in the medicine cabinet.
But we have a couple of people from home on here. Do you all remember what was used for an adult for toothache?
Yes. I'm going to tell you what's the best thing to do. Get on up and go on to the dentist. That's right, Mary. None of what our parents gave us, it didn't kill us. And that's right. It didn't make us sick. We didn't come up with nothing. And so I am thankful, that whatever they used and whatever they did, it brought us on through. I'm trying to think, what else did I have on my, what was the other use for the Kennedy 50 cent? Do you remember?
Are you wait now, because when you say that, I'm thinking about a coin, and I'm thinking about when a woman has a baby for the navel.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
That is it. So
yes.
Yeah, so we use a Kennedy 50 cent after a baby is born. We put it on the baby's navel so it can, go in, and then we put all this tape on. And I remember when our son was born, and my grandmother put it on his belly. He was a preemie. And when I finally took him in for the checkup, the Kennedy 50 cent impression was on his stomach. He was asking me, what's wrong with his neighbor? There's nothing wrong. That's just something old school we do to make sure about the belly button. And so I don't know how many of you all have heard that, but that's what my grandparents, I'm quite sure Zanetta's parents and grandparents did too, because that's what they did for our baby.
Well, that was because they didn't have the little belly bands to, put across the navel, across the belly button. So that was their way of keeping it from coming out and going inward instead.
Yep. So Cherise says, I understand this is just a history lesson for me, but good to put out the disclaimers. Yes, ma'am, because they want to say we told you to do it. And no, we did not. So thank you all for coming on. Let me go back and we're going to welcome you all. Listen, I am Tawana Carlton. I am the host and CEO of Soul Cooking with Tea. And tonight we're talking about kitchen talk. Listen, we're talking about old school remedies. And I have my dearest friend, girlfriend, Zanetta Thomas, for those that are just coming in and for those that will catch the replay. Just talking about some kitchen talk. Listen, we so glad y'all jumped in. Y'all got questions. And let's see. Here we go. You go a comment. Mary says chewing tobacco for a toothache. Never heard of that one, Mary, but that's a good one.
Yes. Let me, while Mary's talking about it for a toothache, I was actually thinking before she put that one in, it also worked, tobacco products, snuff.
Oh, come on now.
Someone who dipped tobacco, even if you did not, you could take a cigarette that someone had and wet that tobacco, because I remember getting bees love me. I guess I was just sweet or something when I was growing up, but I would get stung by bees seemingly quite often. And you would take the snuff or the tobacco and put it on that place where that bee stung you and try to put something over to make sure it would stay. And that was supposed to help with that sting. And it's amazing how you just think about those things. And then growing up in the South, we had red clay. Red clay was also another thing that was supposed to work for sting, whether it was a bug bite or a bee sting or something of that nature. So, but I don't ever recall my grandmother using it, but I also can recall, I think, sulfur and turpentine or something like that they would put on insect bites.
Oh, wow.
Stings and things like that.
Wow. Well, as Cherie says, we call it a $50. My mom said my paternal grandmother taped them on some of the grandchildren's navel. Yes, Ma'am, girl, you be right. You go to visit or go, somebody's had a baby, and baby, it would be nothing no out of the norm to see that baby taped up with that Kennedy 50 Cent. You already knew what it was all about.
And
Um,
Cherie, some of us in the South also called it a $50.
yeah.
It's like,
So Angela said a tube rose snuff. Listen, no, baby, you got to have that peach or that CC.
that CC.
You gotta have see that. You gotta have that CC.
That sweet CC.
Yes, this is my sister
Yo, we're
Maria.
talking about snuff.
No, my sister Maria says so true. That is what OC, which is that's what they call our grandmother, told Mama to put on my bed sting. Oh, she meant to say on her
That
when
was
she
bee
got on
sting.
her bee sting, on her bee sting. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Fitzpatrick. What I gotta get her name pronounced. The first name.
I think it's Kalina.
Make sure, Kalina, if we said it correctly, because we don't want to tell your name up now. She said, this is great, bringing back so many memories. Yes, Maria says bee sting. Listen, we know about the bee stings, and so I didn't experience getting a bee sting until one day, like I get stung, but what I'm saying is the experience with the snuff. And so we were on our way to Ozark, and we stopped. We was going to our aunt's house. And when I got there, she was like, baby, what's wrong with your leg? And my grandma said she got stung by a bee. Well, she dipped snuff. That we already knew that. And she was in the kitchen cooking, and I was in the living room, dining room. And when I sat down on the sofa, all of a sudden I felt something go bap on my leg, and I screamed. Girl, she had took that snuff out her mouth already wet. She had went in there and got that stuff
Exactly.
and put it on my leg. People probably said, oh, that's nasty. No, because she knew that I had a fever because it was just starving. It was red. And in about 30 minutes to an hour, no fever. She had already got the sting out, and I was good. I was good. She said, yes, that is Kalina. That is how she says her name. So thank you, because we don't want to mess up nobody's name. Listen, we apologize on the front end. So tell me what you got on your list, Zanetta.
So I mentioned poison ivy earlier.
Okay.
And I'll come back to that one because you mentioned the calamine lotion earlier.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, I think they had some poison ivy down about near their house, and I got into that poison ivy. And that's the worst itch you can imagine.
Never had
so the calamine lotion was used for poison ivy, and as well as like a vinegar and salt mixture to try to help to get rid of that itch.
Okay. Listen, that's one thing I never got into was poison ivy. So Angela says we put what? Mercurochrome. What?
Mercurochrome. We did, and it
Mercurochrome.
turned everything red. You may not remember the name, Tawana, but if you put it on your skin, it turned red.
Yes, when you see some on the screen, I was like, wait, what? Okay, Mercurochrome.
Yeah, I have it on. I actually wrote that one down. It's on my list to mention because I don't know that they make it anymore because I think it had mercury in it or something like that.
Wow.
And when you put it on, I can remember using it like if you cut out an ingrown toenail and it was hurting, where you cut it out, and your toe would be red for days. Yes. I don't care how much you bathed, it was still going to be red.
I didn't even know the name of it. I just knew it was in that little red thing. In the bottle, that brown bottle had that little dipper. You put it on. There ain't no name. I just knew just go get that. That'll cure everything.
That's exactly what it was. But it could be used on any other cuts, and as Angela mentioned, and anything like that.
Oh wow. Cherie says, thank you, Angela, for that. She says, oh my goodness, I grew up in San Francisco, California. One year we went to Texas, and I got out of the car and was hit and was on an ant bed. Got out of the car and was on an ant bed. Needless to say, I got bit by red ants, the worst. My aunt lathered soap and put me put it on both legs and feet. My legs and feet swole up on and off for a couple of weeks. This was new to me. It burned horribly. Is soap leather something that was used when you were growing up for the red ant bites? Well, for me, I don't know about Taker, but as a child, I talk about it in my book. And I got into a bed of red ants. And so my grandparents immediately just swooped me up, dust the ants off, and immediately took me to the doctor. So I don't know exactly what they did. Zanetta, have you heard anything of what to use for when you get those red? And those are the worst bites.
I think I'm not for certain, but I think she's talking about lye soap.
Okay.
Because she said it burned,
right.
when they used it, and she probably had lye soap, and it probably was meant to try to dry it up.
Okay.
Dry them up as quickly as possible.
Listen, I'm trying to think. Oh, the time I've ever seen lye soap, if I'm not mistaken, was at our cousin Miss Louise's house. Remember, she had that washing machine on the back porch, and so they always had some lye soap, and that was just amazing to me because Zanetta and I had regular washers machines, and they had a washing machine where you had to do this, take the clothes through the little thing to, I guess that was to squeeze the water out. So I wasn't used to that. And so they used a different soap than we did. And so that's about the only time I can remember about lye soap, or either going into the old school drugstores, you would see lye soap. So Angela says it had mercury in it. We should all be dead from mercury.
Exactly. That was that Mercurochrome that had mercury in it. That's what I mentioned earlier.
Angela says yes on the back porch, as you remember, and that washing machine, because that to me, I was like, how are we supposed to use this? How am I supposed to? And so I had to stand there and watch because I couldn't understand this washing machine, and they were rolling it in it, and that was just new to me, and just trying to learn, like, what is this about? Because we got a washing machine that don't do this, and we live. Again, they lived on the front street, and I lived on the side street, and so that definitely new to me. And yes, as Angela says, yes, Lord, on the back porch. Y'all don't understand about that back porch. That back porch. So, what else do you have to share with us, Zanetta?
So, do you remember hearing anything about slicing a potato?
No.
And putting that sliced potato, put it on a boil, or as some people call it, a rising, and then you had to cover it up, like make sure it stayed on, and that potato was supposed to draw the infection and bring it to a head.
No.
You remember hearing that one?
No, that's a new one. If y'all have some old school remedies that y'all know about, share it in the feed. Share with us. Again, we are just on here talking about old school remedies, things that we've experienced in our childhood. We are not here to encourage you to try any of these remedies at all. At all. We're not doctors. We're not nurses. And we don't know what it may do to you. And just like some of the guests have said, such as Angela, we were talking about Mercurochrome is something we grew up as a child, and she says it had mercury in it, and we should all be dead from mercury poisoning. But here we are, 50 plus years, some of us, and we're still here. But listen, don't use it. We're not telling you to do it. Angela said that washing machine was like something I had never seen in my life. Girl, you are not by yourself.
Yes.
I'm looking for where you're going to plug it up. Did you plug it in? Like, y'all washing the clothes, but you out there with that thing, taking the clothes through, dipping them back in. And I was just like, I was totally amazed because that was something that I had never experienced or saw in my life until I went to Louise's house. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. Yes.
Do you remember
she said old school kept us? Yes, Angela, yes.
It kept us. Yes, it did.
Yes.
Definitely.
Well, so listen, I don't know about Zanetta. I never had well water.
I have.
Okay. So they say well water is the best water to be able to drink. I'm quite sure it's so
it's
pure.
Very cold when it comes when it comes up. Very good water. Have you ever, do you remember, Tawana, the for that stomach ache, that constipation, that they would just give you prune juice or prunes to eat? And I never liked prunes. And once ate the prunes or you drink the prune juice, it was going to definitely make a difference.
Yes, you was going to the bathroom.
Yes, you were going, and also I remember, I don't know how much, because I know you have some people on here asking about measurements, but they would take just a little bit of baking soda and put it in a little warm water and drink it, and it would do the same thing.
See, Mama never gave me that, unless, it was before I knew what she was doing. But my thing was always, I told you, Father John's. Girl, get some Father John's. I love me some Father John's. One thing I do remember, I know someone asked about, I think it was Sharice, asked about toothache in an adult. Dr. Tishner's.
Yes.
That doctor. She got some, y'all.
No, I don't have the Dr. Tishner's. Now, you had the Dr. Tishner's for, I think that goes back to the toothache, because it was like a mouth rinse or something.
Yes.
But I do tell you what I have, because it hit me and I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's sitting here in front of me, and I forgot that this is called J.R. Watkins, and Watkins still has a lot of products on the market now, but you have to get it from certain places.
Okay.
And back when we were growing up, and it's still called liniment, but it's pain rubbing liniment. And because I have arthritis, and it works for, they mention on here minor aches and pains,
right?
But because as I have gotten older, and my this osteoarthritis and a few other diagnoses have decided to come in and decide to take up home within my body, the liniment is there.
Ooh,
red and green alcohol. Now, growing up, the green alcohol, as well as just our regular alcohol, was in the house.
That's right.
But when I got a little bit older, I found the red. The only difference is that the green actually is made with wintergreen.
Okay.
That's the only difference. This has wintergreen, and this says penetrating heat rub. They also make a blue one that I've been intending to order on Amazon. But
she got them all covered.
Yes, all of these different aches and pains have decided to come and take up residence without paying rent. So I do have a few things that I have to keep around here that's from the old school.
My sister got every color of alcohol.
Yes, I'm just missing the blue one. That's all. Somebody turned me on to the blue one a few years ago, and I need to order me some, okay?
Yes, she said, Maria says, you ever heard of Buckley's for colds? I've never heard of Buckley's. Yes.
I have not either.
Me either. I've never heard of Buckley's. That's the new one. So maybe
Maria, I like Ricola nowadays, but back when I was growing up, it was all about some Halls.
Listen, I didn't like Ricola. I didn't like the taste. I still to this day will buy a Hall's cough drop. Do you remember the cough drops that used to be in the can, the little tin thing, you pull it up and the cough drops?
Yes.
Yes, girl. I love that. Angela says that roll-on Bengay.
Yes, ma'am. Now you can just buy it, and I think it say heat and cold and, all of that. But back in the day, it was Bengay.
Yes, yes. Sharice says this is very informational. So Mary says I keep me some 360s. That's what we say.
Well, Mary, they still make it, but it's not the ingredients that it was back in the day, and I need to order some of that too.
Yes, Maria says I guess the Buckley's was old and nasty. Is that what Mom y'all used to give y'all when y'all had colds? Gina says Secrets cough drops.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about those.
I don't even remember them.
Now that
was that the ones that was yellow? Was it yellow?
They also, I was trying to remember how they were packaged as well. Were they not in a little can as well?
I don't remember it, but I'm trying to think. I don't remember the name, but I remember some cough drops that were yellow, but they didn't taste good. They was nasty. But
my goodness.
Tim, what you say, Ricola? Yeah, I don't like.
Well, as I've gotten older, I kind of like the Ricola a little bit better, but I usually try to keep some here. And I was in the Dollar Tree, or now the $1.25 tree, and I was a little low on the Ricola, so they had some holes, and I just grabbed some to be sure that I had some at the house.
Oh yes, Angela, I love the new. Oh, girl,
Yes, Angela, that's
yes,
a good one.
yes. I'm like you. I would just eat them like it was
Just eat them like candy.
never. She said never cured nothing. No, they
No.
didn't cure anything. But look, we just wanted it. Sometimes we just wanted it for the taste and just to get that flavor. So again, welcome. Thank you all for just jumping in as we share our old school remedies, and you all are jumping in, sharing you all the remedies that you all as a children and some may as now adults are doing for their children. These are the things that I know for myself that I've tried to make sure I pass on to our son, so that he knows that hey, mama used this for me and I'm gonna try it. Again, the disclaimer: we are not telling you to try any of these products, things that we have done growing up. We are just out here sharing some of the things that we still and sometimes still use and don't use, as Angela said, because we all had a little mercury poisoning as we were going up. To think about it, there was a lot going on, and as we were, as children. So Gina says anything to prevent colds.
I do have, this is not necessarily along the lines of what we've been talking about, but yet I could not leave this out. I do more cooking with smoked turkey now than I do with the pork, but I cannot leave out the fact that we grew up on the pork, and not only just eating the pork chops and all of that, but the meat that you use cooking your vegetables.
That's right.
And it always had to be some vinegar somewhere, because you had to have some vinegar for that pork, for that high blood pressure.
Yep, that had to cut
to try to keep it down.
Yeah, so your blood pressure would be, sky high. One thing before we answer this question, how many of you all chew the baby aspirins for candy? How many? Y'all just put your hands up in the feed.
I don't remember doing that.
Oh, I did. Girl, I did. I ate me some. I thought it was candy. That's why I could put my hand up. So can put their hand up because I did. Getting back to okay, Mary says yes.
Okay.
Eating it, Gina says yes. Eating it like it was.
Didn't they have some that were like little pink baby aspirins? Are those the ones you're talking about?
Yes,
girl. Okay. Like maybe I did chew a few. I just don't really remember.
Cherise, go back to her question. She said, did you make your own laundry detergent? Never have made my own laundry detergent.
We didn't.
That was something we just didn't do. Angela says vitamin C helps prevent colds, and if folks cover okay, say that again. If folks cover their mouth like our grandmama told us, we would be okay.
You're probably right.
Cover your mouth. Cover your mouth. And not only did you cover your mouth, you covered your nose.
Angela, that remedy was put out long before COVID came along. So it would have helped if we had followed orders from the old school days.
Yes. Cherise says yes, she chewed them too. She chewed them baby aspirins. Angela, I'm thinking you said yes, you chewed them baby aspirins. Them things was good. They didn't hurt us, but they were good. I remember I can still taste that baby aspirin. That thing was good.
That's why I said I think I might have after, probably did after when I said, oh, that was a little pink one, so I think so.
Yes. She said, amen, fellow old school rules. Listen, that's what we do.
Okay.
We follow those old school rules. And like I say, when we would get sick, we knew we couldn't go outside. Your friends couldn't come over. You weren't gonna do nothing. You were gonna be in the house until you got well. And following those old school rules, I say for us, our generations, like Angela and myself and Mary and Zanetta, it really has helped us. You know what I'm saying? Because now we know when we get sick, oh girl, let me get so and so and so. Let me put me a hot toddy together. Let me, so we know what to rub. Like Zanetta got all the colors of the alcohol. Girl, show them.
Yes. For those of you who just popped in, I have our, just the alcohol, that we keep at the house. Mm-hmm. But, alcohol works for everything. But I have the red and the green. And as I said earlier, they make a blue that I need to get. And the difference is that the green is made with wintergreen, And the red is penetrating heat rub. So once again, arthritis has made a home here in the body. So I have a few little things here that I need to use. And don't forget the liniment. Watkins.
Ooh.
Okay.
She got clear. She
Yeah,
got
you might not
red,
smell very well,
got
but hopefully you'll feel a little bit better. So,
she has it all, y'all. Y'all see that? She got all colors of the alcohol. I was trying to put it in. She got clear, she got red, and she got green. Okay. Maria's no, Marilyn says I have the red and the green also.
Okay. Yes.
She got the clear, she got the red, and she got the green. Y'all
yes.
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 Yes. So we are just in here tonight talking about old school remedies, things that we've used as children growing up, and just sharing because I had one or several of my Soul Cooking with Tea guests. Sharice, let me go back up and find where she had put that comment. Listen, when you're trying to talk and you're from the South and you're trying to do things correctly and you're trying to say it right, y'all, okay? Sometimes it don't come out right. So listen, don't be on here judging me, okay? I'm trying to find where, here it is. Therese said, yes, I was one of the one who requested home remedies. So thank you again for requesting that. And like I said, if you have requests, topics you want us to talk about here in Soul Cooking with Tea, or you have some type of food or something you want us to try cooking, listen, drop it in the feed or send me or inbox a message so that I can check it out, so I can see, let's check this out. And so I'm very open to ideas. So Angela says, that's right, we stayed home even when women had babies. They could not take the baby out, nor could they go out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. One thing I will say about that, not only could you not go out, but somebody had to walk that baby around the house 10 times. Yes, 10 times. And when you came to see the baby, you couldn't hold the baby, you couldn't touch the baby, and you had to cover your mouth up if it was May, which was my neighbor. Her name was Miss Mabel. May didn't play. You would cover your mouth. You wash your hands, and she would have you put on some gloves.
Yes.
Oh yes. I know y'all can. I can tell you, this is kitchen talk, so you hear people in the background talking. So, Tim says, "What about on New Year's Eve?" So that's an old school thing because you could not come in the house as a woman into the house, or a man. You couldn't come into your own house after midnight. And so for me as Zanetta, and listen, I'm telling our business, okay? Don't judge us.
Okay.
And if you do, that's on you. When we would go out with our friends and we would go out New Year's Eve, whoever the guys that was with us, they had to go in our house before we went in. That was I don't know, but that's what our parents did, and I know my parents did. I don't know about some else, but mine did. You could not go in the house. You better not go in that house after midnight, and a man didn't go in there first. So did that happen at your house, Danetta?
No.
Mine's did. Yeah, I can remember. Mr. George Baden would come. Mr. After my grandfather passed, Mr. God.
You talking about for the New Year, Tawana? Okay. Usually, I think my Uncle Willie Henry was the one that came to the house and walked through the first thing in the morning. That morning.
Yep. And Mr. James Talbot, Kim Talbot's dad, would be the one to come. And so it was just, listen, you better not go in the house. You better stay out there on that porch and somebody walk in the house. Now, mind you, our family is sleep. But you better not go in that house until a man went in first, and then we went in the house.
Yeah, I think we waited just till that next morning, daylight, and by the time he got up and came and walked through, yeah. So a man had to walk through.
Yeah, man had to walk through. Listen, since you all are here, for those that are here live and those that would catch the replay, free game. Listen, I already got the game for you. It's already done. All thing you got to do is click, fill it out, and the game will come to you, and you'll have a game that you can play with your family, your friends. Hey, if it's guys night in, girls night in, and you just want to have something to do, check it out right there. I'll make sure I put it in the feed so that you all can grab your copy of this game free. FREE is that's the word. So y'all see me looking off because I'm trying to grab that link so that I can put it in the feed for you all. So check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Paste. All right, I got it. There it is. Put it in the feed for you all. So here we go. It says, okay, Mary got. She says no washing, no ironing on New Year's Day, and sweeping. Listen, Mary, that's what we had to do, and you had to have all those clothes washed by New Year's Eve. Like them clothes had to be washed. And if you went out like myself, I went out. When I came back in, you better fold them clothes and lay them over in the corner. Don't put them clothes in the dirty clothes. No.
I'm so, you're exactly right. But I'm so glad that as I got older, I just stopped to realize that I'm gonna be glad to have some clothes to wash after the new year. I'll be glad to have some of this or that and the other to do after the new year. So I broke stride with all of those like a long time ago.
Yes, Cherie. It is free. You don't have to buy nothing. I'm not bugging you in your inbox. It is totally free. So Angela says, I remember my grandfather would go in the woods and pull these green leaves and bring it back and soak it in water, then boil it. He said it helped with aches and pains, even blood pressure. You can't prove it by me, but he lived to be 95. Angela, girl, that's what I was going to talk about. So listen, y'all, I'm going to try my best to share my screen with you all because Angela has brought it up. And this was something I wanted to talk to you all about. So let me see if I can. Listen, I'm learning. So I'm going to share my screen. And like I said, y'all got to kind of work with me because I'm trying to do something new, okay? So I got to go back. I said entire screen. Okay, we're going to share. Oh, I guess I have to click. And I'm going to share. And then can you all see this on my screen? Let's see. Did it come up, Zanetta?
It did. What is that, T?
Yes, there it is. So, Angela, Angela's, let me come back and pull Angela's comment down. Let's see if I can pull the comment down so we don't see it and then go to a banner. Hold on, y'all. I'm learning. All right. So now let me go back to the picture. Let's see if I got the picture back up. It's coming, y'all. I can see it. Okay. So as Angela was talking about this flower, so I was panicking trying to find this flower, and I was about to call my neighbor that lives at the top of Chapman Street, but lives on Academy Street. And I was about to ask him to go in that vacant lot and see if he could find this flower because I can explain it to him. And so I went to Google. This may not be the flower, but this is what the flower looks like. It has a fuzzy, it's got fuzz on the leaves. I don't know if you ever saw this, but in where Mr. Jim Bell lived, these grow wild in that yard. And so I remember my grandmother saying, go up there to the top of the hill and dig up one of those flowers and bring it back. So she boiled it, just like Angela said. She would boil it when her stomach was upset, when her stomach was sick. It had the most horrible, horrible smell in the world. But she would boil it and she would drink that tea. And she said that helped her stomach. And so, Angela, by you saying that, I wanted to make sure that I shared this picture with you all because it has fuzz on it. So, Tanka, you remember this?
I remember the flower with the fuzz on it. Yes.
Yes. And they would drink that tea. And so that Angela, thank you for saying that and bringing that up. So now, y'all, listen, I got to learn how to stop sharing. Oh, look at that, girl.
But there are a lot of things, Tawana. Not that it's a remedy or anything, but people would go out and they would pull up, what is it called? It's poke salad.
Okay, I remember that. I've heard
that. Yes,
it
was food.
Yeah.
So they would just make a
Mac and
salad
cheese.
out of it.
That salad.
But
Yes.
yeah,
I heard that. Yes. Andrew said they call that stuff bitter root tea.
bitter root tea.
Yeah. But Mama called
Okay,
it catnip tea. I didn't know what it was.
catnip tea.
Yeah. That stuff stank like all get up. I know that.
Yes.
Carlita says yes. So Angela says, I remember that, and it looks like what it bore, bitter root tea. Yes, I remember all of that. And so Angela bringing that up made me think, remember,
And Mary just mentioned it as well.
yes, don't forget the bitter root tea. And that was just something that they would, my grandmother would drink when her stomach hurt. And she said that helped. And I was in panic because I wanted to show you all. And then I said, you know what, girl? You live in this technology age. Just put in what you're looking for. And so it took me a while, but I kept searching, kept searching, kept searching. And I found what it looked like to me. And it had that fuzz on it because that was the tea that she would drink. And so when I do go home, I'm gonna go by and see if it still grows wild in the yard, because that's just having that picture to be able to share, and pass along. Like I said, I didn't drink it because that smelled horrible. I don't know if it helped, like Angie said, but she said that her grandfather lived to be 95 years young. So
There are a lot of natural, remedies that are still things that we can use.
right,
You just have to get in touch with someone who knows the plants. They know which ones are okay to use,
right,
and they've done their research on them. And a lot of people still, I've run across some on TikTok and various places, but there's still a lot of natural remedies that we can actually use.
yeah.
We just have to find out what those are. And that catnip tea and that bitterroot tea and all that may be still something that's very helpful to us.
Yes, somebody has probably did research. We just don't know yet about
Right.
it. Because people do all this research on these things that we grew up using, our parents, grandparents, and stuff. So, guys, as we are coming to a close, I want to make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm putting it in the feed. So the only thing you got to do is just click it on, subscribe to us. Guys, tell your friends, tell your family about Soul Cooking with Tea. I'm trying to get, it's coming in the feed. So that way y'all can just click it and join our YouTube channel. So here we got some more. Mary says for blood pressure. And as they used to say, for sugar. Girl, yes. Yes. They used to talk about
Yes.
sugar. Yes, that's exactly right. And then also, like I said, go over to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. If you are not a part of the Soul Cooking with Tea family, make sure you go over and like our page. Leave a review. You can leave a review about tonight's show, telling everybody your experience, and just leave us a review, whatever you would like to say. And we thank you for doing that. Also, we do offer virtual classes for those that don't right now, are not ready for people to be in your home. And if you are ready, listen, Soul Cooking with Tea does travel. So don't put a limit, because we will come to you to do classes. If it's girls, you're having your girls weekend, your guys weekend, or you're having family and you want to do something different that you really haven't done as a family, and that's cooking together, because that's what Soul Cooking with Tea is all about. We're about bringing our families back to the table. And so reach out to us. That's the link. Taking the virtual class. And then if you have a product and you want to have it debut here on Soul Cooking with Tea, click that link and reach out to us. Like I said, if you want us to come for speaking engagements, for cooking engagements. See, I'm just talking to just running together that engagement. Reach out to me on this link on bit.ly/Tawana Carlton, so that we can have a conversation, talk, see what it is you need. And if you want to do a private class, I've done private classes. I've done anniversary parties. I've done Thanksgiving. A family allowed me to come in and do their first Thanksgiving in their new home, and it was amazing. We had so much fun, and also did a surprise birthday. They just gave me the keys, gave me the code to get in, and they said, "This is what we want, and you have at it." And so I had an amazing time, just doing that. And so if you're looking for, like I said, guys weekend, girls weekend, I know that next year's coming up, 2023, and you're going to have family reunions and you're trying to figure out, like, what can we do differently? We'll be more than happy to come in, and so that your whole family, however many shows up, we can cook together. And so again, let me get back over here to my banners so that I won't mess up. And we was having kitchen talk tonight. Our special guest is my dear sister and dear friend, Zanetta Thomas. Let me see what Mary said. Andrew says, "You're correct, Mary Dyer." What did Mary say? I forgot. Oh, for the blood pressure, calling it that sugar, because that's what we used to
That's
call
sugar.
it. We didn't say you're diabetic. We didn't say none of that. None of that. We said, honey, they got sugar. That's what they said. That's what we said. And so again, if you've enjoyed, go over and leave us a review. Share it out. Share Soul Cooking out, because tonight it was all about kitchen talk, old school remedies. I will be back in the kitchen cooking as the new year is coming in. So tomorrow so I know I won't be back in until after the first of the year, because I already have plans and stuff to do things for the next couple of days. But as we are closing out, this is our last show for 2022. And we want to thank each and every one of you for all the support you've given Soul Cooking with Tea. It has been amazing. I'm looking forward to 2023. However, we want to thank our special guest, Zanetta L. Thomas, for coming in tonight, y'all. And
thank you, T. And if you don't mind, before we go, I must say that in my household, and I know as well as in yours, we talked about remedies, but one thing for certain in our household.
Woo, come on now. Come on.
Okay.
We
Everything.
got that Bible.
Okay.
And it's not catching dust.
So, okay. Yes. And I told Tawana as we came on, I was like, I put on my Troy Trojans. Troy University, Troy, Alabama had a very good year this year, but our high school in Troy as well, Charles Henderson High School, also had a very, very good year this year. Yes. Let me come over. Let's see. Where are the letters? Here. Right there.
You got it.
Charles Henderson High School. So, yeah, we have our Troy people on. So our high school and our college football teams did very, very well this year. But amen and thank you, T.
Listen, amen. We believe in the word and don't let it catch no dust, as Angela says. Amen.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. Thank you all. Listen, like they were saying, thank you, ladies. Thank you both. And this was my sister says, thank you, ladies. And Mary says, if I can get it to come up, she said, this was fun. It was fun.
It was.
So, yes. So like I say, Sharice was one of the ones wanted to know about old school remedies. So y'all listen, if you have something you want me to do, try a place you want me to visit that has different products that I can be using in the kitchen, listen, inbox me, drop it in the feed, because that's what it was. Sharice was on a live with me about 2 weeks ago, and she dropped it in and said, let's talk about old school remedies. And so here we are. Angela said it really was fun. And that's what Kitchen Talk is about, because I know for myself, I learned a lot in the kitchen, not only my kitchen, but the other women in my community in the kitchen. But you knew when it was time to leave the kitchen, when the adults started to talk. When they was cooking, you could learn a lot of things. But it was a certain time you knew to excuse yourself. Your mama didn't have to do nothing but just look at you. You knew, okay, exit right or left. Hello, Cousin Linda. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So again, we want to thank our special guests. Let me get back over here. Zanetta L. Thomas for coming on, being our special guest. And for those of you that are just dropping in, make sure you go back and catch the replay, because we were talking kitchen talk, old school remedies. I am Tawana Carlton. I am the host and CEO of Soul Cooking with Tea. This is a dream for me to be able to do this. And so I see a lot of times you may see my tag and say, I am a girl living her dream. And then the other one is living in a big city. And I'm living in a big city, living my dream. And so here in Soul Cooking with Tea, we are about bringing families back to the table. We had kitchen talk. So again, I see we have another comment before I sign out. Let's see, Zanette. I can see it, but I need to pull it up. Oh, it was Mary. Mary says you better say it. Yes, Mary. Yes. So have a happy new year from Soul Cooking with Tea. And again, I will see you all in 2023. We're going to continue our kitchen talk. If you have ideas, suggestions, drop them in the feed. Inbox me. I'm open. So again, thank you, Zanetta, for being my guest tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I enjoyed.
Thank you. So bye, y'all. We'll see y'all in 2023. Bye.
Happy New Year, everyone.